our scripture. Last Sunday we began our sermon series on the I am sayings of Jesus. And as we talked about last Sunday, these I am sayings are only found in John's Gospel. Now, if you were here last Sunday, we talked about how Jesus said, I am the light. And we talked about how when Jesus said, I am the light, he meant to reveal some truths about who he was as God's Son. We all know that light keeps us from stumbling in darkness. And as we talked about last Sunday, when Jesus said, I am the light of the world, what he was basically trying to share with the crowd that day is just as light keeps one from stumbling in darkness, so when we walk with Christ, Christ's light keeps us from stumbling to the darkness of sin. You might remember last Sunday we said that Jesus talks about him being the light in the context of sin. Because he has just dealt with a woman who had sinned. And he told her to go and sin no more. And then he talks about light. Light keeps us from stumbling in darkness. But there is also the opportunity to grow with light. We know how light is essential for growth. And so when Jesus said, I am the light of the world, he was probably also implying that as light is essential for growth, so Jesus, when we walk in with his light upon us, we grow spiritually. And as we all know, there's power with light. And so when Jesus said that he was the light of the world, he was also implying that there is empowerment when we walk in his light. Empowerment that helps us bounce back from failure. Empowerment that helps us deal with loss. Empowerment that helps us deal with error. Empowerment that helps us deal with health issues. Jesus said, I am the light. I'm the power. I'm the growth. I am what can keep you from walking in darkness. Light is a very good symbol for Christ. But as Jesus spoke about himself being light, he also spoke about himself as being bread. Now, why bread? Why bread? Well, Jesus might have chosen this as another symbol to describe himself because, as we read in our scripture, the day before, Jesus had fed 5,000 people with a few loaves of bread. It was a miraculous event. And so when Jesus gathers with the crowd the next day, that crowd, as I said earlier, came with the expectation that Jesus would do what he did the day before. In other words, pass out all kinds of free bread. In fact, the crowd, if you were listening when Becca read, even asked Jesus, give us some bread. Jesus didn't give them bread. But he said, like bread, I am the bread of the world. Those who follow me will never hunger. Now, bread in our culture is usually used as an extra filler for a meal. I mean, it's the meat and the potatoes and the gravy and the vegetables. That's what we're after when we eat. And if there's bread that's being served, well, that's okay. We might have a slice of bread or not, depending on the kind of bread. Bread for us is kind of just a little extra filler for our meal. But as I tried to share with the children, bread in Jesus' culture in the Middle East was not an extra filler. It was central to the meal. Because as I shared with the children, they didn't have utensils. Jews believed if you put those foreign utensils in your mouth, you defile yourself. So you couldn't use utensils. And you didn't, as I said with the children, want to eat with your fingers. So how do you consume food? Well, bread. Bread was used, as I told the children, like we use forks and spoons. And so again, the implication is crystal clear, especially for the Jewish mindset at first. Just as bread is central to a meal, so Jesus, the bread of life, should be central to us. And when we make Christ central in our lives, then we don't hunger. We don't hunger. We don't hunger for the materialistic things of this world. Suddenly, when Christ is really central in your life, it's not real important how big of a house you live in, or how many toys you have, or what kind of a car you drive. These materialistic things just really aren't important when Christ is central in your life, like bread was central in a Jewish meal. So we don't hunger for materialistic things. We don't hunger for temporal things, status and power and trophies in the display case and awards on our walls. That's not important for us when Christ is central in our life. We don't hunger for social things that many people hunger for. In other words, it's not important to us to be popular or to have status or fame. It's not important for us to have to look like everyone else and dress like everyone else and behave just like everyone else. When Christ is central in your life, as bread was central to a Jewish meal, we don't hunger for social things, material things, temporal things. Jesus said, I am the bread of life. Make me central, and you will not hunger for a lot of the stuff that a lot of people are craving. In the 1700s, when the missionaries went to South America, they came across a couple of remote tribes. And they wanted to evangelize them, and so they began to translate for these tribes the Gospel of John. And they would gather the tribe people around the campfire, and they'd read for them from the Gospel of John, translating it into their native tongue. But when they came to this passage of bread, they were stumped. Because you see, for these two remote tribes, in their culture, they did not have bread. They didn't know what that was. They hadn't made bread. And so this word, bread, meant nothing to them. So they struggled. Well, what can we use to substitute in our translation for the word bread? And then they came upon the word. They realized that central to their meals in these two remote tribes was a banana. They used a banana at every meal. And so they translated, Jesus said, I am the banana of the world. Sounds funny to us, right? But it resonated for that tribe. Doesn't matter whether Jesus is the bread or the banana of life. The point is that, like bread, like a banana, Jesus should be central in your life. And when he is, you don't hunger. But bread was also important in Jesus' days for another reason than being central to the meal. Bread was also important because it was often used as a gift. And it's true in many cultures today. People give gifts of bread Actually, we give that gift here at First Baptist. When someone comes and visits us for the very first time, if they sign that guest card that's located in the back of the pews and leave their name and their address, they get a gift of bread on Monday or Tuesday. Mike Dreyer and Dave Stevens, they volunteered to deliver this free bread on behalf of our church. Bread was given as a gift, still is given as a gift. And so when Jesus uses this image of bread, he's also implying that just as bread is given as a gift, we need to give, we need to share Jesus, the bread of life, with others. Because when Jesus, the bread of life, is shared, when Jesus is given and received by others, they too then come to no longer hunger for a lot of the temporal, material things of the world. Many of you are here today because someone shared Jesus, the bread of life, with you. Maybe it was your parents or grandparents. Maybe it was a close friend. You're here because they gave you Jesus. They invited you to receive Jesus. So you took them up on that invitation. You started worshiping, and you found that there was something meaningful with Jesus. You found some needs being met, a fulfillment coming. And so you're in the church today because someone shared Jesus, the bread of life. And just as we were shared Jesus, the bread of life, we need to share Jesus with others. And every day, opportunities are there to share about Jesus, this bread of life. Opportunities at work, in the lunchroom, on the assembly line. Opportunities in the community room, in the apartment complex where you live. Opportunities in the parking lot or in the grocery store as you're waiting for check out your groceries. Back in March when I bought my cell phone, that smartphone that I told you about one Sunday, the young gal who was waiting on me asked what I did for a living. I told her I was a pastor. "Oh, you're a pastor?" she said. I said, "Yeah. Where do you serve?" "Oh, First Baptist Church." "Tell me about your church." So I started telling her about the church. She wanted to know because she was thinking that maybe she should start coming to church. Went to church as a little person and then kind of grew away. So I told her about church and what God, church, and Jesus could mean if she embraced them and brought them back into her life. Opportunities are there every day for us to share Jesus, the bread of life. Just like bread was shared so long ago as a gift. Jesus said, "I am bread of life." I am to be central in your life, like bread was central to a meal. And when you make me central, you'll discover you won't hunger for a lot of the temporal, social, material things that other people get caught up in. Jesus said, "I'm the bread of life." I'm to be shared. As bread is shared. For when others receive me as a gift, they too have their needs met and are satisfied. Jesus, the bread of life. Hopefully he's central in our life. Hopefully we're doing our best to share this gift to another.